If you've been looking for a small town US map, then have we got a treat for you. This is Griffin Indiana by ajFarmer. Hello everyone, Argsy here. We are bringing you an exclusive first look at Griffin Indiana by ajFarmer. Now this was a hugely popular map for Farming Simulator 19, over 400,000 downloads, and it's still getting 3,000 downloads a month. So by that it shows how popular it was for Farming Simulator 19. Well, ajFarmer has bought it and updated it, and in fact completely rebuilt it for FS22. And it is currently in with Giants for testing on both PC and console, so fingers crossed it's not going to be too far away. So for those of you console players who've been looking for a good Midwestern US map with some nice size fields, nice regular shapes, this could be just what you've been looking for. Huge thanks to ajFarmer for allowing me the opportunity to take a look here at the map. We contacted him through the Giants forums when he was posting about it and giving some updates, and asked if he would be so kind to let us take a look at it. So here we are. So thank you very much, AJ. I really do appreciate it. Now before we get into the regular map tour aspects, I just wanted to go through some of the particulars. AJ's given us a great big list of things that we wanted to highlight. So we're just going to go through those, and then we'll go and take a look at the PDA, have a look at some of the field sizes, all the farms and everything like that before we go on a tour around the map. So Griffin is a real-life town located in southern Indiana. It has a population of about 143, as you can see on the sign, and that's from the 2020 census data. The town's typical of older Midwestern settlements. Most farmers there today plant maize, soybeans and winter wheat. However, ajFarmer stressed that he wanted this to be as sandbox friendly as possible. So all the crop types are available. Everything can be grown here in Griffin. Just before we go and start having a look around, a few notes that AJ has given me. Some of the features of the map is highly detailed. It is a real world location and does use real terrain data. There's real soil data used for precision farming, and the off-map border image, which we'll see when we look at the map, is a real satellite image. Custom area growth calendar, we'll take a look at that. There's custom license plates, custom farm workshop at the main farm, usable buildings on the farms, there is all the standard crops, there's field and baling contracts, there is collectible coins, we'll have a look at a couple of those. There is a working train, we talked before about the length of that, pedestrian traffic and vehicle traffic everywhere. There are AI splines, and AJ's gone to a lot of effort to make those work as well as he can, and big thanks to the subby who gave him some assistance with that, a bit of advice there on making those as good as they can. Very helper friendly, you'll see that from the shape of the fields, lots of large regular shaped fields. Speaking of fields, they are small, medium and large, so a good variety of things to do, and they can be easily merged in that it's easy to plough them together and make one larger field if that's what you wanted to do. Up in the forest area, when we look at that, there is a riding trail network. There's lots of seasonal visual changes. The main roads will not accumulate snow, so the road here in front of us won't gather snow, but the smaller roads around will have snow on them, so you can get in and plough them. The roads are ownable for free, so you don't have to pay anything to own those if you wanted to use it for landscaping or anything like that. We know with console you do need to own the lands to be able to landscape. And all the deco bush is mowable, which is nice. If you are expanding into an area, you can mow that, trees and bushes and shrubs, and get rid of those, which is good. Some of the numbers, there's 100 collectible coins scattered around the map. We'll take a look at one or two of those, just so you know what you're looking for, but we'll leave it at that. We'll let you find the rest of them. As we said with the train, there is 18 train cars total, 21 paintable terrain textures, there's 3 built-in placeable old barns, a built-in placeable old fermenting silo, 9 buying stations, 6 selling stations with a variety of different things that you can purchase. There's 7 production points with the farmland acquired when you purchase it as well. 1 main starter farm with all the buildings individually sellable and fencing removable. 8 other farms with barns individually sellable and fencing removable as well. 26 in-town residential lots with barns individually sellable. There's 7 in-town empty production lots, 2 farmlands dedicated to forest, 16 farmlands wooded and meadow, 31 farmlands with arable fields with a total of 220 hectares, 7 farmlands with grass fields of 14 hectares, 234 hectares total ready to be worked, 98 farmlands total, and a grand total of 10,250 trees, all of which have been placed manually from the 19 version because some of them were scaled or buried and they weren't cuttable. So he has gone through and changed every single tree to make sure that all of them are removable. We've started out here at the edge of town. We'll go and have a look at the map, see where we are now, and go and plan our tour. So here is the map. We are right down here at the bottom on the way into the town. You can see the main town dominating this section of the map. Through the middle is the train tracks. It runs from left to right. You can see the renting points that you can rent the trains from, and there's a very nice silo where you can load things in and out of. You'll notice that a lot of the fields on this bottom half of the map are probably the larger fields. As you head towards the top of the map, it is more of the wooded areas, the meadows and things like that. Up the top here in the left, this is the starter farm, and we'll have a look in just a second at what you do start out with. You can see where all the production points are scattered throughout. We do have an animal dealer down here, the sawmill as well, BGA in here. Up the top here is a spinnery, and this is another mill as well. Campground over here. Now, one of the key features that AJ has done, and we'll look at this right now because we're going to look at our values of land. So we just take a look here. You can see the starter farm. You start off with these 2 meadow areas, obviously the main farm buildings and everything, and then one field up here. One of the great things AJ has done is if you're a hardcore start from scratch player, you can come in here, and this is a campground. Now there is a couple of plots here which have a very low value, $2,880, and another plot there, $2,500. So those are ones you can buy and put down a placeable. You could put a sleep trigger or something like that if you wanted to start out as being a start from scratch. Likewise, down the bottom here, another one there, $720. Now that is at the hotel. So again, you could buy that little bit of land, put down a placeable sleep trigger, and that could be home. Start out from a hardcore start from scratch, $0 type of gameplay. So very cool that he has allowed for that as well. So just taking a look here at some of the land values, so you can see there it's very expensive, $691,000 for the main farm, $467,000 there, and $330,000 for that field. So obviously very high land values. Biggest field probably this one, $1.4 million for 59 acres. No, on the bottom here, $1.9 million at 79 acres. So some very, very expensive land. Right down to some smaller fields, 4.5 acres to $109,000. So you will be working very hard to try and get into the market and buy some of this extra land. So on top of the land you start off with, there is obviously 7 or 8 other farms scattered around. One down the bottom here with field 3. There's another one in here. Field 17 comes with some land and shed. Field 20 is the same as well. Another one in here at 23. Another one here, you can just buy the plot of land. I believe there's a house up here at field 31 where you could set up a farm as well. Now I do believe one of the plots in town does look like it had a barn on it. So there's plenty of different options for you to establish and set up your farms. And while we're taking a look in the menus and at the map and things like that, let's just take a very quick look here at the crop calendar. So this is set up to allow double planting of soybeans. So for example, in late autumn you could plant winter wheat, have that harvested in June, and as long as you're very fast, you harvest your wheat and then get straight in and plant some soybeans, and that will take you through to the end of the year to then harvest those soybeans. So in the space of 12 months you've had 2 crops in. From some of the chatter that has been on the forums, suggestion was that you would then wait, go and plant some corn in here for the next season, get that harvested, and then you'd be able to put winter wheat in again after the corn and start that sort of cycle again. So that seems to be a pretty common practice in this area. So where are we going to go on our tour? Well, that is the main thing we're here for. We might just turn around and come and have a look at this little farmyard down the bottom here. Then we'll head on up, take a look through the town. We'll take a left down here and take a look at the farmyard, the sawmill and animal dealers before we head on up to the top of the map. In fact, I think we may even go and take a look up here at the right before we come back over and finish up looking at the starter farm. It's a little bit backwards. Normally we would look at the starter farm first and look at all the equipment and things like that. But just because of where we're starting off here coming into Griffin, I thought it would be the best place to start looking at the township and working our way through from there. So we've got a little Kubota side-by-side park behind us. We're going to jump into that, go for a little bit of a drive around and take a look at all the different aspects of the map. Now just before we do go and jump into the side-by-side, you have a look down here. This is one of the collectibles. They are gold coins. Bring up our menu there, you can see collect. Press R1, we'll collect that, and we have got $250, so very nice to see. So you can get those collectibles all around the map. Like we said earlier, there is over 100, or there is 100 of them, not over 100, there is 100. So there's number one. I'll leave it to you to find the rest. You might spot some as we're driving around. I'm not going to go point them out, but you might be able to use that to your advantage. So a little note that AJ left me here about a local legend. Bigfoot has apparently pulled up stakes and moved on, as there have not been any sightings or howls in months. The locals think during his stay he would take valuable coins from them and drop them in random places, due to the fact he lacked proper pockets. They believe he was doing this in frustration over the farming noise. If you find these golden coins, they will help you a little in your new farming endeavour, so keep your eyes open and happy farming. There we go. That is the history behind the collectibles, the gold coins. Seems to be they are a little remnant of Bigfoot and his time here during FS19. So keep an eye out for them and you can earn some money. Anyhow, let's jump here into the side-by-side, head on back down the road towards that farm down the bottom before we head back up and look through the rest of the map. So just pulling in here into one of the auxiliary farms. As you can see there, we've got the farmhouse on the right. Bit of a barn there and quite a large open shed, so a little bit of space around. And one of the beauties of the map, as you see going the whole way around, is it is very flat across the majority of it. There is a little bit of terrain and height as we get up there past where you can see the water tower in the distance and where the trees are. It does get a little bit of elevation, but because it is nice and flat, there's some opportunities obviously to place some more sheds or to build further out into the field or something like that if you wanted to have a bigger farmyard. But like AJ also said, everything's sellable, so if you wanted to get rid of these barns and build your own farmhouse down here or farmyard down here, you could do that. In fact, while we're here, let's just take a look and use this one as an example, because obviously that'll be the same across the majority of the farmyards. So just up here into the landscape menu, you can see none of these are sellable because we don't own them at the moment, but if we just go and buy the land, and we'll take a look at what we can get rid of. So now that we've owned the land, you can see we can demolish the shed there and get rid of that. Looks like the barn and the house are fixed assets, so they will stay there, but at least by removing that, if this was where you wanted to set up a farm, it does give us some more space to create it with however you might like, with whatever sheds you might want. If anyone's just watched our recent review of Trailer Park Farm's shop, could be a good option. Maybe on a bigger farm than this, but certainly between Trailer Park Farms, if you're a PC player, or even across some of the other mods that are available on ModHub, there's plenty of options to build and develop your farm however you like. So there we go. Now I have pulled up the mini map as well, so you can see where we are right down the bottom of the map. So we're going to head north. We're going to go and take a look probably down at the animal dealer and everything like that before we go through town, and then we'll carry on our way up to the north of the map. We're just driving into town here, and there's quite a few of the production sell points around here. You can see the grocery store, there is a diner. Now the road down there does just lead you down to some access to some of the larger fields. Got our gas station up here on the right, and then there is the bowling club or bowling alley there on the left. Now just while we're going through here, and there goes the train actually, we're a little bit away from it, but if you just look up there and watch how long that train is, because it is quite a marvel. I do really like that AJ has made this train quite a lot longer, something he did in FS19 as well, but you can see how much longer that's gone for. Much more authentic than the smaller 6-car trains that we have seen. But just while we're here at the hotel, in here is one of the plots of land that you can buy and set yourself up with a little sleep trigger here if you wanted to roleplay being a visitor to town and looking for somewhere to sleep, somewhere to start off with, you're starting off from scratch. So we're going to carry on up here through the town. You can see we start to get a few more residential type sections. All of these are buyable, remember. You can buy a lot of these and you could mow the grass or something like that if that's what you wanted to do. We're just going to get up here just before we get to the train tracks. We are going to hang a left. We'll come and look at the grain silos and things like that, but down this way is on our way to the animal dealer and also to the sawmill and one of the other farms. So here is the animal dealer here on the right, and you can see a few features there. Obviously your buy point for your animals, but there's also a buy point for manure. So the pit there, you can come in and buy manure if you wanted that for whatever reason, spreading on fields or whatever. Also a sell point in there for bales, so hay, straw and silage. I do like the animal dealer. I think it's quite nicely done with the pens and things like that. Different to some of the others, but very, very nice. And just carrying on, not too much further here up the road is the sawmill. So we do have that in here as well. A few different things, the wood chip sell point, the sawmill there, as well as the carpentry. So you can get your boards and everything out of there. And if we carry on just to the end of the road, we do see our second farmyard. And this one has a few more sheds, a bit more storage space than the first one we looked at. Nice shed there on the right. Another one in here on the left, as well as the farmhouse, small lean-to there in the barn. And then over here, I think this might be our fermenting silo. And yes, this is the fermenting silo, so we've just bought the land. If we pop down here, you can see fermenting silo has popped up, and it is now down here under our production chains. So you can see one there. There must be one on their main farm as well. So that's nice to see. One here and probably one up on the other farm. And then just looking here on this one, you can see the fermenting silo and the three sheds, sorry, are all demolishable. The barn and the house are not, but the fencing can be. You can see that turning red there as we hover over it. So you could get rid of the fencing around about. Now if we head out to the left, there is a little track over just on the other side of this meadow, which heads along the side of the field and does give you an access across the train tracks down there. So it does link the other side of the map. Here there isn't only the one crossing across the train tracks, which is good. Obviously as you grow your farm and buy more fields, it could be quite nice. But just looking across some of these fields, they are a decent size. You know, they're not small fields, they're not huge, but they are a good size. You know, take on some decent size equipment and have a lot of fun with them, particularly if you were to merge them. So we'll head back down here. We're going to take a look at some more features in town before we carry on our way up to the top of the map. We've crossed across the road. We're just driving past the grain silo. This is our store in here, so this is where you would come in and get your equipment. So if you were buying something, it would appear here. Now, just trying to figure out where the buy trigger is. We will go and find that just to make sure we know exactly where it is to buy things and get something bought and see how it all spawns in here. Well, it helps to have the icons turned on, but here is our shop buy point. You can see down the back there is the workshop trigger as well. We just pop in here, buy something or lease something and see where it spawns. We know what space it takes up. There we are. We've just gone and leased a Panther beet harvester and you can see where it spawned there. So lots of space around. It is facing the right direction, so it's easy to get out. And I'm guessing you would have a longer implement. There's probably enough space here between the front of the shed, front of the building and the fence to be able to maneuver in here with the tractor or say a truck. If you were trying to get a semi-trailer or something hooked up, there'd be plenty of space in here as well. So good to see. That is where everything spawns when you come to the shop. And so immediately outside the shop is Grain West Elevator. Now there's a few key features here I just wanted to touch on very quickly. This is used for transferring or storing goods and transferring them to the trains. We come under here, this is actually a buying station. There's 5 different crops we can buy from here: canola, sunflowers, soybeans, corn and potatoes. So if you are wanting to buy something maybe for a production chain or something like that, AJ has made it so that they can be purchased. Now coming through here is a dump trigger, but this is purely a storage silo. So if we just pop in here and dump things, we're not going to get any money for this. It is going to go into storage. And then there's 2 ways to get this out of storage. We can either load up here on this overhead auger here, overhead bin. Back in under here, we'll just get in here very quickly, and when we get into the trigger, you can see we are 560 litres of canola is there. The alternative would be to obviously use the train. So we'll just drive around the front and take a quick look there. If you were to rent the train, obviously you can call it in and it will turn up, and it will have a trigger where you can fill it from. So you can see there is an overhead auger there which comes across on that gantry. So once the train's here, you can fill it up and load into there. So you can see that there is the obviously a dump point and a load point there from the train. So you could use it both ways. Not sure why you'd want to store anything in the train and load it into here, but that is how you get grain out of this or any product that you've stored in these silos off to sell at the off-map sell point, which I think is Mount Huron in Illinois. And there, just to show you, Mount Vernon, Illinois, not Mount Huron. Mount Vernon, Illinois is where the train goes to, and there is your selling point. So there's no selling points at Grain West Elevator, purely a storage silo. The main sell point otherwise is HH Milling, which is up in the top right corner of the map. And here comes the train again, so let's just take a quick look at how long this is. It just keeps going. I think it's fantastic. All sorts of different cars. There's obviously the bulk storage cars, there's the logging cars, and also the flat decks, but just keeps going. I do like it. I think it's fantastic. So you could really store some product in the silos and use the trains to take them all away. Very nice to see. Right, so just taking another look here at the map to see where we've covered. We've been down to the bottom map here. We've driven up through part of the town, gone and had a look at the farmyard down here, as well as the animal dealer and the sawmill. And then we've just taken a look here at the shop and the Grain West Elevator. Now we're going to head just very quickly down this road here, just to these points here. This is the bio, or what's called the utilities store, utilities yard, and there's a few things there we'll just go and take a quick look at. We're just pulling here into the utility department, and as I said, there's a few things to look at. And as we go across the weighbridge here, you can see this overhead bin, and this is another buy point. Now if we pop in here and have a look at what we can buy: seeds, lime, solid fertilizer, there. I believe you can also get some liquid materials such as liquid fertilizer and herbicides from there. So that is very nice. We've got a bunker there if you wanted to come down and do silage. And then over here is obviously our BGA plant on the left. There is our rock crusher, debris crusher there on the right as well. Nice loading ramp here if you were wanting to get rid of your logs. I do like how that is there. And then over this side is our methane and electricity. So very cool to see that. If you wanted to run a utilities roleplay, you could even set this up as your yard and have the storage shed there. So lots and lots of different options. There is also a buy point here for water, or a fill point at least for water, right next to the water tower. Seems appropriate really, doesn't it? But there is the trigger for that, so you can come down and get water. Not sure if there is a charge for that or whether it is free. And then our little shack there for renting the train for when that wants to come in. Back out here at the main road, we're going to head north again. Head on up this way. Now, just as we drive through the town, I just wanted to point out a couple of things. There's an empty section there, which is purchasable. You could use that for a production chain or something like that. And then actually over the back, off the main road, one section back, one block back, there is quite a large level area in there, which would be perfect for placeables as well. Now, there is 7 different spots around that AJ's made available for things like that, which I think is fantastic. The fire station there on the right, the church, and a bit of a town hall as well there on the left. So lots of different features that have been brought through from the other maps. The ballpark over in the background there as well. Just a nice little town. It has a very nice little vibe to it. Exactly like, if you look at Google Earth and have a look at what Griffin Indiana is like, exactly as you would expect it. So we'll just pause here and take a very quick look at the map and make our plans for moving through and taking a look at some of the other areas. So as you can see, we've driven up the road here. This is one of those areas I was pointing out, the other empty section there as well. Ballpark there on our right. So we're going to head along this way, go and check out a couple of these auxiliary farms before we go up and take a look at the sell points and spinnery and things up here. There's a house up there I want to go and have a look at, as well as the trails that go through all the forest areas, and take a look at a couple of those forest areas. Then we'll come back down this way, have a look at the campground, have a look at the farm in here, a couple of farms as well, before we go up and finish up here at the starter farm, the main farm for new farmer. So again, another farmyard in here on the left. This one has a little bit more space around it, some decent storage as well, a couple of big easy sheds. Again, they will both be demolishable. In fact, all 3 of the sheds here, the little lean-to one would be as well. So this one's actually quite a nice one, I think, if you're looking to redevelop a farmyard. To take a look at, because there is lots of space to put down some different sheds and build it how you might want to. Have space for a silo or something like that too. But even as it is, it's very nicely set out, very nicely detailed. I like how all the paths and things like that, the tracks, are driving around, and the way the house is a little bit separate over there, which is very cool to see. And then not very much further up the road is another little farmyard we'll just go and have a look at. And in fact, I described it as a farmyard, but it really is just a house. You could buy that, and there's some meadow there next to it where you could put down a shed and start a farm from as well. So lots of different little areas. I think each one is unique. There's nothing the same as another. They do make different use of different assets and things like that, which is very cool. So let's carry on down here, head on up the road into a bit more of the hillier country. This is probably the hilliest and steepest part of the map, and as you see when we get there, it's not very steep at all. So it's very much a very flat map. So as we start to head up the hill a little bit, you can see our spinnery in here on the right, so your wool and cotton sell points. Down further is the main mill, the HH milling, which is the main sell point for all your grain crops if you're not using the train. I don't know why you wouldn't use the train though, normally a better price, and the way it's set up and the size of that train, I think it's going to make it a lot of fun. We've just taken a left up here and heading up this little bit of a hill. There's a couple of things we wanted to look at just up here. This is opening up into some of the more grassy meadow areas. Predefined fields up here, you can see the actual field grass in there rather than the meadow grass around it. So there is a decent sized field up here, and there's a couple of them. And there's also some nice flat area if you wanted to build a farmyard along with the house here as well. But if we just wanted to head down here into the trees, let's take a look. Because there is these nature trails, riding trails, whatever you want to call them, that AJ's put throughout a whole lot of areas. All-purpose trail, motorized vehicles prohibited. I think you'd get away with riding a little quad bike or a motorbike through here if you wanted to. But just this great network of trails. So again, role-playing fanatics will love it. Being able to get out here and do something a little bit different. Go and explore, see what you can find. No doubt there'll be some gold coins through here somewhere. I haven't seen any myself, but I do expect there would be. There's 100 scattered across the map, so it would be unlikely that there wouldn't be some in here. So well worth going and exploring, potentially to pick up a little bit of extra coin. Excuse the pun, if you need to. Very cool, I like that. Now just one thing I just wanted to touch on very quickly. There's a couple of these oil wells around, and in fact, There's one there, there's one out in the field, and then just off the edge of the map there's quite a few out there on the just outside the periphery on the border. I didn't realise Indiana was a oil producing area, but a quick Google search actually showed to me that there's the Griffin oil fields, and oil was produced in, or still is produced in this area. So nice little bit of information, and something I really appreciate with Farming Simulator, particularly when you play on these realistic maps, is you can learn things. You can learn things about different parts of the world, and as it's been described before, it does feel like sometimes you're going on a little bit of a world tour without actually leaving the comfort of your home. So I think it's quite cool and nice that someone like ajFarmer's included that in his map, so you can experience that and see that for yourself. Now, just as we drive past here, it looks like another barn in there, so you can set up another farmyard. That must be number 5 that we've looked at, I think. So again, another option. And we're going to go sailing past where I wanted to go, which is turn off there. But we'll go down and have a look at the campground first, and then we'll come back and look at that farmyard. So we're heading along this road, which is getting very close to the edge of the map now. We've got another farmyard in there, just a single shed. We won't bother going in there, but you can see that there. Again though, plenty of flat area in that meadow around about to build on and place your own sheds, silos, whatever it is you want to have to add to your farm. Well, as we just get here, we're right at the map border. Going to hang a right in here and get on up to the campground. So as we drive in here, you'll see a few more nature trails there on the right. In fact, these ones have some pedestrian AI on them, which is cool. But the campground scattered around, there's lots of different campsites and things like that, playground, and some of those different bits and pieces. Well, just here on our left is a wood chip sell point. I'm guessing for campfires and the like. And we're just going to go around the ring here, because up here on the left is one of the areas you can buy. So I think this grass area in here, this is one of the blank land areas you could purchase that we looked at earlier on. And then if we just carry on around here past the Firewatch Tower, or the Lookout Tower, back up this little bit of track. One of these plots in here, I believe, with the picnic table and barbecue grills, where you could park a trailer or something like that, that is one of the other plots of land you can buy. So if you didn't want to live in town at a hotel or a motel, come up here and camp out, have some fun with the locals who are camping here as well. So that is the campground, that is the nature trail. Let's head on back down, and we'll go and check out that one farmyard we drove past, and then head on up towards the main farmyard and have a look at that. Check out some of the machinery and equipment that you get as well. Just driving along here, I was just admiring the view there, looking across the fields. Just that little bit of terrain in there, just a little bit of undulation, but hardly noticeable at all, which I really like. I think it's a very nice feel, and I like how the map sort of split in two, and then we get into a little bit of hillier land with the trees and forest areas and that up there. One thing I haven't commented on, you might just see through the trees there as well, is a few drainage ditches around, which is kind of cool. I do like those being on the edge of the fields. Something we're quite common in the area of New Zealand that I live in, that we do have a lot of those floating around, particularly in flatland, because it's the only way we can drain, or one of the most efficient ways to drain. There we go, there's one of a bigger one running down the middle there, so that is very cool. Now, this is the farmyard just up here on the left that we went sailing past before, so we'll take a look at that, and we will head up this road, which takes us up to the starter farm. So again, much like all the other yards, we've got a farmhouse in here, nice little bit of access, nice little bit of flat meadow there to build further on, and then a what's that, 5-bay shed, a little bit different to some of the other sheds too, which is very cool, seeing something a little bit unique. So each one's got its own little style, which is good, which is nice. You don't see farms that all look exactly the same. That's just how the nature of the beast. So head on up this way and go and find the main farmyard. Well, here we are heading up towards our last stop, or last main stop for the tour, heading towards what is the starter farm on new farmer mode, probably the main farmyard. It is the biggest, has the most sheds and storage, and quite a lot different up here, a bit more windy, a bit hillier, and obviously the white fences is something that's unique to this part of the map rather than anywhere else. But on our way in here, we've got that barn there on the right, a little bit of storage space, a fermenting silo up here as well, and also the main silo there in the middle for storing grains and the like. We come and head around the tree here, follow the track around, you'll see we've got the workshop trigger in there. It looks a lot like the workshops that are on Elm Creek. Down the track there you can see the farmhouse with the sleep trigger, and then a couple more sheds, or at least a small little lean-to shed there, and what is really the big equipment shed and big storage space. So nicely detailed, and let's just jump out here, go around and have a look at what equipment you do have when you start out. In the shed here you can see we've got the Deutz Fahr top liner and grain header on the back. We've got a planter, or seeder I think it is, and a small cultivator, so nothing too big, nothing too carried away. We do have the side-by-side here, the John Deere. We've got a grain trailer there in front of us, and a tractor in here, the only the one tractor, the John Deere, and there is a pickup as well parked up by the farmhouse. But that is really what you're limited to, just those few bits of equipment. There's nothing over in the other barn at all, but a nice detailed farmyard, nice layout, lots of different areas, lots of different space, and as I've said everywhere else, lots of space to expand into and develop further if you want to build something a little bit bigger. So very good. And everything down here should be sellable, I imagine. Let's have a look. There we are. You can demolish both those sheds, that shed, the silos, and the shed there as well. So if you did choose to want to start with a clean slate up here, just keep the farmhouse. In fact, even the farmhouse up here is demolishable. But if you wanted to start with a clean slate, you could get rid of everything up here and build the farm however you might like to. And in terms of the fields and space that you do start off with, we'll just take a quick look over here. It's quite a big pasture, quite a big meadow, so you could mow this with grass. Obviously not something you start off with as any grass or baling equipment or hay or silage equipment. So you would have to look at buying that, but that is quite a big area and actually goes quite a way down there and in amongst the trees. And likewise, there is another one over the road. If we just shoot down here and have a look through the trees, quite a big meadow there over the road, which is the second part that you do own. And we'll just jump back in the side by side and go down and have a look at the soybean field that you start off with. There we are, there's the gate to get into the meadow. Very easy and accessible. And of course this is the main arable field that you do start off with. So a decent size, actually you would get a rather decent income off that, I think. Not too small, not too big, a good place to start off with. So that is that's pretty much our tour. I'm just going to drive down the road here. There is a couple of little fields we'll go and have a look at down the end here, something you could possibly expand on if you wanted to buy early on, because they're not quite as expensive as some of the other land. And there you go, just here on the right, a couple of very small little fields. So depending on what you're doing, you could pick those up very early on and do some work in this area and expand the farm that way. Another one up the end here and a little bit of a meadow. I imagine that's probably all purchasable as well. So very nice. I do like all the wooded areas actually up here. There's a lot of character up in this part of the map. I mean, there's a lot of character across the whole map if I'm going to be brutally honest. And it does all have a nice charm to it. I think that would be the best way to describe it. As we said at the start, if you're looking for a small town American map, I think this is just going to be absolutely perfect. And so there you have it. That is our exclusive first look at Griffin, Indiana for Farming Simulator 22 by ajFarmer. I think this is going to be a hugely popular map. If FS19 is anything to go by, the number of downloads that had, I think we could see this doubling the quantity of downloads. I think with the popularity of the game and the popularity of the last map, this could be hugely popular. So I'm looking forward, like I say in a lot of my map previews, looking forward to seeing what you guys all do when you play on it, how you develop the farms, which farmyard you choose, where you head in your adventures in Griffin, Indiana. Once again, huge thank you to ajFarmer for sharing the map with me and allowing me to take this first look tour at it. Now, one thing AJ did ask, please respect the modders. I know a lot of you are very good at that and have a similar feeling to what we do, but please try and download it from the ModHub. Console players, you don't have any issues there. I'm looking at you PC players. I know how easy it can be to try and get things from other places, but if you can honour that and download it from ModHub and give it a rating as well while you're at it. Now, as I said earlier, the map is currently in for testing with Giants to be released on ModHub, so keep an eye out there for it on the testing lists, and hopefully not too far away from being released. We are going to try and time the release of this video close to that release as well, so you're not getting this a long time before the video comes out. So keep an eye out for it on ModHub and get in there and download it. But as always, thank you all very much for watching. I really hope you have enjoyed this map tour of Griffin, Indiana, and I will catch you in the next one.